Yeah, I know it's a late upload, but I can only do so much. I actually got really busy, and I literally just got home from working. It's like after 3 p.m., so it's definitely going to be a very late upload, but last night I binged through for this tutorial, so I guess yeah, I'm behind, I know. So I'm going to talk a little bit about backgrounds, and that's what this tutorial is the backgrounds portion of it, not the shading, because I do backgrounds before I do shading, because I find that when I do my shading, something is always wrong, and so whenever I go and do my backgrounds first, it's always a lot easier to me to go on ahead and put everything into perspective and understand what I'm doing. So I know you guys are probably looking at the screen and thinking, what the fuck? What is this? Well, every time I do a background, every time I draw, backgrounds are literally that point where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Whenever I do a background, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I'm sure I initially had a different plan for this, but it's been over the course of a couple of weeks since I started doing this project that I don't know exactly what originally I was gonna do. So I decided I was gonna do a bedroom. Not really a bedroom, but a room. And here's some advice about rooms: is that inside think geometric shapes. Outside, don't. Outside, think of smooth lines, like fades. Just I'm trying to think of the words I need for this. Is don't do sharp lines for the outside. And when you're involving with trees, don't, like anything, don't do straight lines for the exterior. Only do straight lines for the interior. And you guys will see me using the shape tool a lot if I'm doing a design for inside a house or a room. And that is true. That's because I'm thinking geometric shapes. And that's probably the best advice I can give you about the difference between the two, is just think geometric shapes, smooth lines, no lines. You know, and I went through and I wanted to show you guys how to make more textures. Of course, when I started doing this, when I initially started making the textures, I had zero idea what I was doing, and I completely fucked myself because I screwed up so bad, and then I went in and redid it, and it looks fine. So again, I have to change the color to red, that way I can see everything going on. So that's why I changed the color to red. I thought I was going through and being smart about trying to mark the lines, and it's okay. Let me rephrase this. Tracing is okay to an extent, and I thought it would help me see the lines, understand what I'm doing. And if I actually went and traced over it, yes, it would have done a lot better job, but I wasn't doing exactly that. Something was going on. I don't know what. I keep seeing my screen jerking, but I'm not sure why I did that. But I had to do this process of making wood because I wanted you guys to see how I do it, how I try to get this stuff. Like, I'm trying to show you guys step by step every single thing I do. Of course, I make my own textures, and I already have a wood texture. Now I have two, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I do make my own textures, and so I guess I was going to show you guys texture making and all that, but I want to get into other things as well while the screen's worked on the wood, because this was a massive fuck up. So what I'm doing right now didn't stay. I actually went and redid it, and yeah. But I'm gonna go back to the rooms because the background is a room. It's easy to do carpeting, and it's easy to do wood floors. Of course, I'm gonna show you guys how I do the wood floors. Concrete, marble, it's easy to do it. With marble floors, I try to add a shine to it so you can kind of tell that it's a glossy top. Anything with a glossy top, I try to add some sort of shine to it and make it look nice. And then the concrete, if you look at concrete, it's gritty, and it's rough. But I actually cleaned a house the other day that had concrete floors, and it was nice and smooth, and it looked polished. So we see two different things for concrete all the time. So we got the exterior, which is the gritty and rocky and not smooth concrete, but on the interior, if you have a concrete floor or concrete countertop, they tend to have a smooth, glossy surface like granite or marble. And then of course you go in, if you're doing granite and marble, you add in your colors, your pattern, your textures. And I usually make my own textures separate because I'm fun. I'm a lot of fun. I like to hurt myself, apparently. Now, a lot of people pay attention to these things, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to pay attention to deep detail. But I put myself in the mind of a critic, because I'm at this point where I'm really comfortable with what I'm drawing, and I think that I'm pretty good at what I'm doing, and that's not me saying I'm cocky. It's me saying the reason why I'm in the mind of a critic is to keep myself going and getting better and better and better and better. And most of you guys don't need to think that way because you guys think that you already think for some reason. That's why you're watching the video. I'm sure that you are not good or you're not unhappy with where you're at. And let me just tell you right now that everyone does a style differently. We don't all have the same art style. For instance, I go in and I add as much detail as I possibly can if I want to. That if I want to is a pretty big deal. But not everybody adds detail. In fact, a lot of artists, they just do flat colors, and that's it. Me, yeah. But, you know, you have to be confident in what you're doing already before you can say, oh God, my art is shit. You have to be confident in what you're doing now. It's okay to challenge yourself and want to be better, but don't discriminate your work. Not yet. Once you are comfortable, once you're finished with your art, once you are at a position that you enjoy and like, that's when you start critiquing your work and you say, this is pretty bad. This spot here is not as good as I want it to be. Let's work on that. And that's what you need to do, is you need to say, hey, what can I do to make this better once the project is done? Don't go and say, what can I do this? This is terrible. Let me read it. You're never going to get work done if you're critiquing yourself halfway through a project. Ever. You won't get work done if you are finished with your subject. Like how, if you're doing your stuff, the order that I do mine, your sketchwork, your line art, and then your flat, and then the background. When you get your background and you're just like, this is terrible, you are screwing yourself over. I'm not lying to you. At that point, you're never going to finish a project and you're putting yourself down too much. It's okay to say this isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but to actually butcher your work while you're working on it, no. Because you're not done. It could turn out great. You know? So that's one thing I want to go over. And that, like, I had to get that out of my system because I don't see it as much anymore, but I do see a lot of people everywhere that are just like, and it's not towards me, it's towards other artists too. And I've seen artists that were pretty cocky and snide. I don't want to be that way, and I don't want to come off as that way, but you know, I've seen a lot of artists that do come off that way or are that way, and I don't want to be that way. And so I don't want you guys to ever get the idea that I feel like I'm above you or better than you, because I'm not. There is no way I ever will be, because you guys could, I'm not saying I'm better at all, I'm just saying you guys could reach a point where right now you probably are just drawing stick figures, okay? This is an example. Right now you could be drawing stick figures. Tomorrow, not saying tomorrow, but at some point down the road, you will come back and you'll say, look at my art, and I'll see it, and you'll be doing a grand masterpiece, realistically drawn, all of these amazing features in it, and I will ask, what the hell happened to that little kid I remember who sent stick figures or only drew stick, you know? And that's actually a really awesome thing to see people and how they evolve and go on with their art and stuff. So I don't want to ever make you feel like you can't talk to me or that I'm above you. I don't ever want to seem that way. So it seems like I finished that wood texture, and that's good. Finally, I can't really explain how to do wood textures. You kind of just have to find a photo that you like and kind of just go from there. I was gonna say something about tracing, I remember. Oh yeah, tracing is a pretty big deal in the art world, and a lot of artists get really pissed off with people when they trace because fuck, they practice and they practice and they practice and they just stared. But I don't see tracing as a bad thing either. If you're tracing over someone else's artwork and you're saying that it's yours, I see it as a bad thing. But if you are tracing basic shapes to get a figure, a pose, or an expression, I guess that's okay. Just use that as your sketch work instead of your fine lines. Another thing I could say, I said this to somebody else, and it's covering color and backgrounds. I do mostly, for instance, I do a lot of outdoorsy kind of nature because I like to do the sky. I really do. And I go out of my comfort zone when I do it, and it's nice to draw and it's fun to me. So one thing I recommended to someone in the comments was forget the colors that you see. You don't just forget that the sky is blue. Forget that strawberries are red. Forget that the sun is yellow. Forget it all. Just anyways, but you just forget the colors. You just forget what you see and kind of imagine what somebody else sees. That's what I have to do, is I have to forget the sun is not hot pink. It's not white. It's not hot pink. It's yellow. Kind of try and remember, this is what other people see. And I think that just going and being imaginative, you kind of just understand a little bit more as to what you like and what you think you want to happen more so. Clouds, actually, I got it because I'm looking at it right now. I use a specific brush, and I kind of custom made it myself. I can't remember exactly what I did. I'm not even looking at it. I can't even remember how I made it or anything. But clouds, study clouds, and kind of just, you can trace the lines of them and kind of just get an idea as to what the hell you're doing. I just don't say this is my artwork and you just traced everything. It's okay to trace some things, not everything. Because when I'm having trouble with hand poses, I won't lie. I will go in and I'll make my box and I'll put a photo there and I'll make my box around it and make it a sketchwork so now I understand what I'm doing. I won't do my fine lines there because to me it seems like cheating. And I don't like the idea of cheating at all because this is my artwork and I want it to be 100% mine. So that is my thing. I don't know why the hell the screen keeps going up and down, but it does. What am I doing? What am I saying? Okay. Again, back to the color thing. Imagine anything. The sky can be pink. It could be blue. It could be green. It could be gray. It could be anything. Anything at all. And you just go from there. Because the sky, I was always told whenever there's a tornado coming, because the sky would turn green because of hail that would fall. And it was reflecting light, so on and so forth. So the sky can be green. For me, at least, the sky is white. I very rarely ever see a blue sky. But when the sky is blue, it's a bright and happy day. There's not a cloud in the sky. You know, personality. Just if you're basing it off of a real place, do your research and look. Trees. I'm not gonna lie. I've had issues with drawing trees a lot. Not a lot of people do, but I do. And with trees, don't do straight lines. Don't do straight lines. You go in and you kind of add your textures. Whatever brush you may use, you add your textures. I have a leaf brush, and I go in on distance grass. Like, you know, if you can't see every strand of grass, then I go through and I use that little leaf texture, and I go over it with the green or yellow, and I color kind of like dots every once in a while, and it will add a texture to it, giving off light or shadowing. You know, it'll do things. With glass is a pretty big deal. Glass is clear. You can see straight through glass, and it reflects light. Whenever you look at an angle at your window, your bedroom window, look outside your bedroom window. Do you see white or yellow, or what color do you see towards the corner of the panes? Because in the direction of the sun, what colors do you see? Because I'm looking right now and I see pink and I see yellow. Yeah. So just go through and experiment and understand what you're doing and learn. You aren't, it doesn't matter how realistic it looks, because at this point, you're just going for, like, with me anyways, at this point, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it realistically or not. It just matters if it looks nice. It matters if it's beautiful. It matters if it's perfect and imaginative, and it can make people want to create something. And that is the goal of myself as an artist and many other artists, is to go and help try and get others to want to create. And that, you know, backgrounds, I know a lot of people hate backgrounds, and a lot of people don't understand how to do backgrounds. Fuck, trust me, I hated drawing backgrounds a long ass time ago. I despised it, but now I love it because it's so chill and nice, and I understand what I'm doing for the most part. It may not seem like it because I'm talking really fast and I'm just jabbering on and not like rambling about other things, you know. But when you understand what you're doing, that's when you really capture onto, I really like this, or I really don't like it. If you're inside, I want you to, like, do you have wallpapers in your room? Do you have paint on your walls? Do you have, what is on your bedroom wall? Study your surroundings. Just look around and identify all these little details about your surroundings, because there is so much going on, and there's so much you can do, so much things that you can just imagine, so many colors that I can't see and that maybe you can't see, but they're there. There are people, there's someone in the world that can see more colors. I'm trying to think of millions more colors than the normal human eye can. Can you imagine just being able to see like more than what you actually are capable of seeing as a normal person with normal eyesight? Like, I think that kind of puts it in perspective to you as to how I feel about if I had normal color sight kind of thing. But it's, oops, I hit my mic again. But there's so many colors, and you just experiment and look and see what works best with you. I work with a lot of pink and orange. I work with a lot of pink and orange, and I go in and I just go and spread it all apart. Your base color doesn't matter. You're gonna change it later. You just experiment and have fun. It doesn't have to be serious. There's no line art whatsoever at all. You know, you just go in, and it doesn't matter how blurry it looks, because it's the background. It's a background. It's not the point of focus, unless it is for you. But if you have a subject right there, it could be blurry for all you want, because the point of the subject, the point of focus is the subject. What you have drawn with your line art was your subject. And there we go! I think I did this all in one run through, and I don't think I'm going to have to do it again. So hopefully, I will be more prepared next week. Also, I'd like to let you guys know, I am doing live streams every Saturday that I possibly can, unless there's bad weather or I have work. But Saturdays I will be doing draw streams. And of course, the upload schedule will remain the same. Fridays I will update again for you guys, and Tutorial Tuesdays every Tuesday. I'll see y'all later.